so that now it's not a cold ask. It's just that I'm there and people now reach out to me.
So the big question is, what are the top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams, and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? If you ever thought about this, you're not alone. No one has been able to get the answers until now.
We spent the last few years helping agents sell billions in real estate, rubbing shoulders with top producers, which got us thinking, how can we expose more people to these insights to help raise the standard in the whole real estate industry? We then realized that we could help bridge the gap by getting the secrets from the best of the best so that you can succeed. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Elite Agent Secrets.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Elite Agent Secrets. Today, we've got Joe Silzell with us. This guy is a beast, modern agent, a new guy, 3 years in the business. He did 62 deals last year, middle of the pandemic. This year, he's already done 54. He's on track to do at least 62 again. Finish this year strong. Joe, thanks for jumping on with us to share your secrets.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Dude, the last time that we jumped on, you blew my mind with the strategies that you're going to be sharing with us today. And I tell you what, they're hella fucking effective.
Yeah.
Because you told me to report back to you, I am getting into like 95% of people that I use the exact outline that you have given me. And it is absolutely life-changing from that perspective. So figured I would throw that out there. And before we go any further, thank you for your service as a past Marine. Got to give credit where credit's due to the greatest country.
I think one of the things that that I wanted to touch on, because we like backstory, yours is short, it's 3 years, is that I just want everyone listening to imagine what 54 deals or 60, 50, 40 deals a year would do for them. Like, for most people who are listening to them, it changed their whole fucking life.
Changed mine.
Changed everything, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that's it. Even if you went low scale and you made $5,000 a deal, right? And you just kind of work those numbers, you're multi six figures, right? And it's like doctors, and it's like, this is a huge deal for people that are listening that aren't even at the 6-figure market. Like, our goal is to get as many people as humanly possible to go over 6 figures. Like, that's our goal. Is like, we think that if you can get over to 6 figures with one strategy for the most part, like, we're going to dive into yours. I know yours is about like more organic social, which is awesome. Or whether it's paid social, it's like, you don't need to be doing 20 things. Just do one and just get really, really good at one, and you can make 6 figures. You can make multi 6 figures. But what happens is, like, your beliefs will change to that first 6, right? You make 100 grand from this one strategy, and you're like, I could just do more of that. I could just literally just do more. Right.
And that's the biggest thing I took, because when I first started, I didn't start with what we'll get into Facebook groups. I started with Instagram, and I got some traction on there, but I found out, hey, I was trying to do multiple things, and that was just one of them. And when I switched to something that I found that was fairly effective, and then I found better and better ways to make it more effective, I still do one thing. Like, there's a few other things I implement to help out, but I still do that one thing. Like, if I ever need business, I just jump on and start doing that.
I love it. So before we jump into your first one, which, we're going to be discussing Facebook groups, right? I want you to take us back 3 years ago. So what happened? Why'd you get into real estate? Was that when you left the Marine Corps? Like, take us through a bit of a journey here on 3 years ago.
So just got done with the Marine Corps. Actually, this is about 5 years ago. So joining the Marine Corps, graduated early out of high school to do that. Was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. Got out of the Marine Corps and came back to my hometown and became a sheriff's deputy. And I was a sheriff's deputy for just over a year and a half. And I got my license because I wasn't making a lot of money as a sheriff's deputy, a cop. So I was like, all right, well, I need to have some supplement income. I'll get my license. I'll do fix and flips, rentals, that kind of stuff. Then just had stance. I wasn't getting the promotions I wanted to get, and kind of had some setbacks in the police office. So I stepped out of that and into real estate full time. Now, when I did that, never sold anything in my life. Didn't realize it was commission only. I took resumes to every single brokerage because I thought you had to apply to get a job, not just show up and be a heartbeat that has a license. So I'm telling you, I went into this so ass backwards. I cannot tell you, but it's worked out.
Dude, I had no idea that you basically started there and now you're here, even going as far as taking your CV to apply for a broker.
Yeah, when I went to offices and I was like, hey, are you guys hiring? And I had a printed out resume, the whole nine, looked great. And they're like, maybe we can go talk to the managing broker, like see what he's doing. I was like, yeah, whenever he has time, like whoever's hiring. I don't even know if you guys are hiring. I couldn't find any ads in the paper. And they're like, yeah, that's not how this works.
Wow. That's just got to be the headlines, like ass backwards into real estate makes multi six figures.
and I think that's what makes your story so special, right? Because when you were coming into this, it's not like you were exposed to it before. You were like, maybe I'll go get my real estate license. At the time, you didn't even know you needed to get a real estate license to go sell real estate.
No, I got my license before I left the sheriff's department because I knew you had to get a license. So I got a license. So when I showed up, it was it was my resume and the license. Mm-hmm.
Got it. And no one in real estate school, as we always tell you, real estate school is nothing but that piece of paper you need. Doesn't teach you anything at all. Like zero.
I got mine online, and they just sent me 5 PDFs that were 200 pages long, and then a practice test. That was it. That's all I had.
Wow.
And then now you can sell homes, apparently.
I haven't gotten sued yet, so that's the big point here.
Yeah, absolutely. So what was I know you said last year, which would be your second year, you sold 62, which is like insanely phenomenal. Like fucking hell, kudos to you, man. Like that's amazing. What was your first year like though? Was that like a success or was it like a 20K year?
No. So my first 7 months, I sold 2 houses and it was actually in the negative because my office bills. And then start of 2019, because I started kind of late 2018. Started 2019. 2019 was my first full year, and I did 36 deals. And it took me like probably 3 months to get my first deal that year. But then after that, I haven't had a month since March of 2019 that I haven't closed at least one house. And there's only been like 3 months that I didn't close at least 2.
I love that. So the reason I ask is a lot of people have different journeys, right? And I think this is actually going to be one of the most insightful because a lot of people will feel like they were ahead of you at the beginning. So you've kind of been clawing your way from the back in metaphorically speaking. It's like, I didn't know how this was going to work. I was just kind of feeling my way out. You 7 months of closing like basically next to nothing. That's how bad it was.
It's how bad it was. I was going, do you guys know what CSL plasma is? You can sell your blood plasma.
No.
So it's basically like selling your blood. So I would go in twice a week because that's as much as you can go and get $50 a donation to sell my blood so I could pay for Facebook ads and other marketing so I could still stay in real estate. Like I took side jobs. I was doing everything. Like I was working at least 40 hours a week in real estate, which wasn't much because I didn't have any business, but I was doing side jobs, selling my blood, doing all this stuff just to stay with the game.
Wow. Fucking hell, man. This is a phenomenal story. Holy shit. This is really like from the bottom.
But it's just like you talk to, like we were talking before the show about, people that are in the military, people that are in special forces, people that do high level stuff. They always talk about there's that moment where you realize, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful. I don't care if it's I got to go to work at a brickyard and stack bricks at 5 a.m. and I got to wait until 6:30 at night to go donate blood so I can pay for a Facebook ad. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be successful. And that's where I hit.
Fuck. I love this, man. I love this. So like you got in your first deals, right? This is a phenomenal story already. So you got your first, how did you get your first deals? Where did that first 5 come from? Or your very first one, do you still remember it?
My first one was off Instagram. So I started there as posting and I got a listing lead. This is kind of crazy. This is 2 weeks after I started a new Instagram account. I got a listing lead and the guy's like, hey, we're thinking about selling a house. Want to come over? I called my broker because again, I had no training. My office, which is kind of a funny story, but my manager broker said, we don't do training for new agents. Like they had hired a new agent in 3 years. So I was like the first one. I called him. I was like, hey, I'm going to a listing appointment. What do I need to take? And he's like, let me know if they say yes, I'll get you the paperwork. And I was like, cool. So I showed up with like random junk I'd found online, like the Zestimate and all this other stuff, and sat down, talked to them, said, I think we can get this much for it. They were blown away that I actually showed up the same day, and they signed a listing contract once I had it signed the next day. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
So off Instagram.
Wow.
And then was that the same for the next 5 or?
No. So I doubled, tripled down on that. And for the next almost 5 months, I don't think I had another deal. Then I got Facebook Marketplace. I was doing a lot on there. This is 2018, so it was a lot more open and you could post a lot more different stuff on there. And I was posting why rent when you can own, what low credit score you can get a house with. And I was calling around my brokerage to see if anybody had a listing that they let me promote. I would say they're a listing agent, but I'd be like, hey, there's this new listing, what, blah, 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 blah. Was putting them on Facebook Marketplace, and my second deal was off a buyer that reached out to me off of one of those. So then I got that and got my first buyer.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace now is like, it's weirdly massive. It's like you can buy it. And do you know what the problem is with Facebook Marketplace? You buy shit you never knew you were in the market for. Yeah, that's the problem. It's a list of stuff that you kind of fancy. It's so cheap and it's local. You might as well get it.
You have to be careful marketing on there now, though. They're very strict about stuff.
Yeah.
What I did figure out, though, is some crazy, like, weird ninja hacks. I don't even know if they still work because I haven't done this in a while. But, like, if you put your phone number on there, Facebook blocks it out so you can't see it, right?
Right.
What I would do is I would type in those numbers, and then I'd go get an emoji that was like the minus symbol, and I'd put it through there. And so it'd be like 970 emoji symbol, numbers, emoji symbol. And Facebook didn't figure that out, so they'd still post that. So I was still getting calls off of it. I was like, you couldn't put your email address all the way in there, right? But you could capitalize your email address. I can't remember. I think I put it in Paint and made it bigger. And then I'd paste that into there, and then Facebook wouldn't catch it. So I was like doing all these weird things to just get my information out there.
I love that. Yeah, there's a few things like that on Indeed. I'm not sure if you guys have ever looked at that, but you can't do that too. They don't let you share, but certain information is bizarre. So other people, rather than uploading like a written document, they upload a giant picture of their CV, and then it's just this giant ass picture. I love it. So let's dive into your first one. This is a huge one. Like, I'm excited. So your first topic you want to talk about is Facebook groups and getting deals out of them, right? Let's unpack this because I've got a bunch of questions.
All right. You want me to just start?
Let's get rock and roll, man.
All right. So
it's like, where do we start?
So I'll tell you how I got into it. I was trying to figure out how to do real estate. I was going on YouTube, Facebook, looking up people on Instagram, Pinterest, anything to look up how to get Facebook leads, right? I had to figure out what a lead was first, which is funny. But once I got there, I'm like, cool. How do I get Facebook leads? Door knocking, cold calling, all the open house BS stuff that everybody tells you to do, right? Well, where was I finding these? I was finding these in these really big Facebook groups for real estate agents. And I was searching through them. And then pretty soon I went, there's a whole bunch of these groups in my area, right? And I'm looking at them, and some of them have 20,000 members, some have 50,000 members. We have one in my area that's 80,000 members. Now, there's only 67,000 people in my town, and there's about just under 100,000 in the county. So that's pretty much everybody in the county is on that Facebook group, right? Granted, a lot of them are other places and stuff. But I was like, that's a big audience. So what I just need to do is figure out how to post in those groups to kind of capture that audience, right? Because I already have a huge amount of people. Now I just need to figure out what to say. So the other thing I was doing is I had a coach, and he's like, you got to talk to 20 people a day. So start just talking to people in those groups. So I started chatting with people about random stuff that they're trying to sell and all this kind of stuff, right? I ran across a couple different people that were in those groups that were already doing some marketing. Some were real estate agents, some were blah, blah, blah. And then when I started really doing research on it, I started finding people that were doing this as loan officers, insurance agents, and then I finally found some other real estate agents that were using these groups to market, right? Now, most people were still using them for open houses, new listings, just closed, whatever they were doing to try to get more like that kind of style. And then I stumbled on some other stuff that was like, how do you get the most engagement out of these, right? So how do you get the most out of these groups? Well, so then I started finding some better posts and some better ad copy and some better, ways to get in front of people. And had a really good post, and it was something like, tell me your rent and I'll send you a list of homes that you could buy for the same monthly payment, right? Pretty standard, nothing too crazy. And it blew up. I mean, I'm telling you, I had like 50 or 60 people message me, all right? And I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is so great. Like, I'm getting all these people to talk to. And then I watched as another real estate agent went comment by comment. Don't talk to him. He's new. Talk to me. Hey, I know you. Hey, we went to school together. Hey, don't talk to this guy. He's a loser. Like, I can't tell you how mean these agents were. Like, just snaking these. Like, it's a bloodbath, man. And I can't blame them. I mean, it's business. It's whatever. And then I got a call. Like, this post blew up so much. I got a call from our local real estate office. And they're like, hey, just let you know you're in violation of all these different things. Like, you're not supposed to post about real estate. You're supposed to tell people you're an agent. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So I delete the post, right?
It was a bunch of bullshit though, right?
Yes and no. So this is what I found out. So I'm in Colorado. Every again, if you're a real estate agent, no matter where you're at, go find out what your local rules are, okay? So in mine, I called them back the next day and I was like, hey, what did I do wrong? How can I do that by doing it right? And they said, you have to do 3 things. Say that you're a real estate agent, put your name on the post, and say what brokerage you're with. That's it. You don't have to put a logo. It's Facebook. It's social media. But you have to do those 3 things to be in compliance. I was like, okay, that solves one problem. The second problem is I am brand new, and these agents are right, and they're snaking all the people that I'm talking to. So how do I get around that? So I thought about it and reached out to some people and talked to people, and they're like, oh, well, that's pretty easy. You just got to be the admin of the group. And then you can just kick them out. I was like, okay, that sounds a little aggressive, but we'll see. So then I ended up trying to figure out how to get those groups. What I ended up doing was purchasing them. So I'd reach out to the admin, moderator, whoever it was who'd owned the group, private message them saying, hey, I got a crazy question for you. Got a minute to talk. And I started out with a whole bunch of little groups because I didn't want to like mess up on the big groups yet. So I started with a whole bunch of little groups, like 500 members, 5,000 members, something like that, and found out what people would be okay with. And then I reached out to the big groups, and I was like, a couple of the people on there. Now, the first one I reached out to, I was like, hey, can I take you to lunch? I really have a question about these groups. I would really like to take you to lunch to kind of explain this whole thing. So the first lady I took to lunch, her group is the biggest one I still own. It's got 82,000 members.
Fuck.
Now it had about 77,000 when I bought it about 2.5 years ago.
So you grew it big time.
Yeah, it's ever growing. I don't do anything to grow it anymore. It just grows on its own. There are ways to grow them, but this is the best one. So anyway, it's the biggest group in my half of the state, and it's the most, like, there's hundreds of posts every day. There's thousands of people see this every day. So anyway, so I ended up buying it off her for what she thought was a lot of money. And for me, that was at the time was a lot of money. Was $2,500. Okay.
What?
$2,500. Now here's the thing. There's no market for these groups.
77,000 people in your local area for $2,500.
Well, here's the thing.
What the?
There's no market.
Peter,
no one's ever been offered this.
Peter's going to be on Facebook straight after this. Boca Raton Facebook groups.
Pete, how many groups have you looked into buying or looking into getting or whatever?
I have like a handful or 2 handfuls right now that I'm on the down low working as of right now.
See, we had one conversation. So me and Pete talked for 45 minutes a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And he was like, I'm going to start doing this. So we'll talk offline after this about some other cool stuff I do, but about the group specifically. So I bought this group for $2,500. Now that was 2019 in, I want to say about March. Okay. In 2019, I made over $100,000 off that group. Last year, I made over $150,000, and this year I've made almost $250,000 off that group individually.
Okay. AKA from a $2,500 investment in his business.
And there's another thing. It's evergreen.
You've just made $500,000 off a $2,500 investment.
Yes.
We're in the wrong business. That's why we are doing it right now.
Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody's listening to that. You hear these big numbers. There's a ton of work. 2.5 years in investment in that. Don't think that happened overnight. But I'm also telling you, I went from no deals to 4 deals the first month after I got this group. And it's been nothing but basically that since. So you just think of the exposure. If you had an audience of, granted, it's not the full 80,000 every day, so it's probably more like 10,000 a day, about 40,000 a week. Imagine if you had that every day. And then we go back to the other point. You can kick every other real estate agent out.
Let's go, baby.
So you want to have market dominance. You want to be the person everybody thinks of a real estate. Is that when every time somebody looks at that group, 1, my face, my logo is all over that group, and 2, nobody else ever posts on it.
That's huge. This is so good. To be fair, even in my life in digital marketing, I actually don't know anybody that's actually bought a group, because I've been curious about it. But a lot of the problem with groups is, I'm sure you probably now know, and when you start looking into, one of the big issues with groups are, if they die, you basically can't bring them back to life.
I had a 35,000 member group that Facebook took away, and it's gone.
Right. And so it's like you're on their platform and you're playing by their rules. And also I don't blame the woman you bought it off. It's like, how do you determine the value? Like, it's a really difficult thing to kind of determine the value of
Well, we can't just give all the secrets away. That may have to be saved for another podcast.
But I'm telling you, that's the best part. Is it's an unknown commodity.
Yeah.
So it's worth whatever you're willing to do. Yeah. So I've had, now the hard part with this, so don't think that you can just go up to any group member and they're going to sell it to you for a song. Some people know that it's worth a lot, right?
Yeah.
Some people sell a lot on there. Some people, I've had people where I could offer them any amount of money. They enjoy doing it because they've grown this from 5 members to 50,000, right?
Right.
They've put 5, 6, 10 years. This lady had started this group in 2012. So, I mean, she had been in there a long time. So it's not like everybody's just going to be like, yeah, I'll sell the group. But you find the right person, or the people that need money, and you can make a deal.
That's incredible. This is phenomenal. Okay, so now you've got the group. How are you going about navigating? So obviously you bought a multiple, right? By the sounds of it, you lost one.
Yeah, I mean, I lost. That was the only reason I bring that one up is because it was 35,000 members, so it was a big group. It was like my third biggest group. I've got about 35 groups now. Only about 10 of them are worth my time or effort or doing anything in. All of those ones are at least 10,000 members. Now, again, a lot of overlap in that audience, but that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, because it's more of your face, right? This is more about this. So I think this is
now when I go into listing appointments, I even tell people that I'm like, hey, all these marketing things, this is what, all this stuff's going on. How'd you hear about me? It's almost always from Facebook groups. And then I tell them, I own all those, right? And they're like, that's why we always see you on there. I'm like, yeah. Also, especially if you're competing for a listing, if I say, does anybody else talk about this marketing or that marketing? What do they tell you, right? And I'm like, ask anybody else how many people they know that they can get your house in front of every single day. And if they can't tell you 100,000, I'm doing a better job marketing your house.
It's so true. It's so true.
Mic drop.
And here's the best part. If somebody tried to do that, you guys know what ads cost to get that amount of audience, and it cost me 5 minutes and $0 because it's 5 minutes to create a post and post it to all these groups.
Yep.
Zero ad dollars. It's evergreen. It's my stuff.
Pin it to the groups. House sold.
You can pin it to the top. You can do it. So here's another little hack for you. When you're doing this stuff, you got to get engagement on these posts so that they stay at the top of the groups, right? Pinning them used to be great, but now Facebook is making it so the pins aren't quite as cool and they look weird and it's harder to get people to look at them. I'm in we call it a biz to biz, but it's a B&I group. So it's a whole bunch of people get together and help each other's businesses. when I post something, if I want that post to go good, I just post in our little group chat, everybody go like this post. And then I immediately get 10 to 12 likes and it stays at the top.
Nice. I like it.
Leverage.
Just using what you've got. And it's a phenomenal strategy, this. I mean, because you're so right. It's not only getting buyers and sellers. Sorry, it's not only finding sellers. It's also getting the buyers for those sellers.
Well,
and you're the middleman.
Yeah. So we look at it. I was really, and this is 2019, 2020. So, I mean, buyer's agents were still, 2021's been harder for buyer's agents, I'm not going to lie. But I was first-time home buyers. I'm a veteran. I really went after veterans, first responders, stuff like that, and was really trying to grow that because, again, I'm young. I'm only 28 now, so I was 26, 25, 26, 27 doing this. Buyer's agents, being a buyer, first-time home buyer, that's a great place to be. So in 2019, out of the 36 deals, 27 of them were buyers. So not too many listings. Last year, I did 45 buyers and 17 listings. This year, though, I really pushed the listings part, especially because I knew that's how the market is. And this year, I'm at, I want to say it's out of the 54 deals, it's 30 buyers and 24 listings. So I went from being like 2 or 3/4 buyers to now it's almost half and half.
I'm curious, did you get mentorship at all? Like, did you follow someone to really learn the ropes? Or is this you've figured out the group stuff, you've got a lot of opportunities, you've had tons more at bats, so you've kind of just fallen through? Or did you kind of have someone that put you under their wing a little bit?
I've had different coaches, so I won't say that I haven't had coaching. I was in 2 different masterminds that did a lot with Facebook groups. This is kind of a blend of the 2 different masterminds I was in. One of them was doing this more for the loan officer side, but I was like, I mean, we're in the same business, man. And I even used a lot of their posts and stuff still. And another one, it was more of the correct way to engage the audience and get it out there. Because what you're doing when I first started was all just call to actions, just, hey, give me business. It's traps. It's stuff to get people to talk to you, right?
Right.
Well, that ad fatigue's real, especially in these groups. So you have to be able to change it up, right? And the second mastermind I was in that was really good, they basically did the whole Gary Vee jab, 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 right hook. So you got to give, you got to be a real person. I do Facebook Lives in these all the time now. I do a lot of different engagement posts to get my numbers up for Facebook. There's a lot of other things you do so that now it's not a cold ask. It's just that I'm there and people will now reach out to me.
And what about on the real estate specific side, as in mentorship with closing deals or help on any side of that? Or is this just you learning by doing it?
Yeah, it's pretty much me learning by doing it. I'll give a couple people. So my managing broker is amazing. He literally was 2020's managing broker of the year for all of RE/MAX, every office. Great mentor. He's taught me how to do the contracts really well. I had a couple different mentors. I don't know if you guys know Matt Kramer. I've worked with him quite a bit on the personal side, where it's hey, how to talk to people and stuff. And I've been working with him since 2018 on and off. But as far as the rest of it, it's I realized really early on, I don't know much. And I'm not the person that's very creative, but I'm smart enough to know there's other people that have already invented the wheel. Yeah. So I don't need to invent it. I just got to go find whoever did it and use their blueprint, and then combine blueprints to make it better.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Eventually, you find your own voice too, that you tailor, that works a little bit better for you as opposed to somebody else too.
It's just if you go try to learn a script. I hate scripts. I've never since basically the beginning, I hated trying to learn them and try to objection handlers and all that. But what I found out is as long as you understand where you're supposed to go with it, once you've done it enough, you're just going to do it the way you would say it to get to the same result. But it does take a little bit of time to find your footing. And, I made a lot of mistakes. I'm not going to say it, but
got it.
Once you've done, I don't know, I think I just hit 150 deals in 3 years. So, it's not too bad. I'm doing something right.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode. Now, before you go, we're giving access to a private training we did where we revealed the top 3 niches to get listings today completely for free. So if you want access, you can go and download that training at eliteagentsecrets.com. We're regularly releasing new trainings, guides, and cheat sheets, so make sure to head over to eliteagentsecrets.com and sign up so you don't miss out.